Hello, Simone, and thank you so much for joining Real Asset Media today. We wanted to have your opinion on what the outlook is for the Italian market.
If I look for investors, it's a good moment for, let's say, opportunistic investors to enter in the market, to look where there are opportunity, where there are the sectors that they think that could be interesting in the future. And when there are some investors that are in difficult positions, there are new investors that could come and change what is happening.
Obviously, the Italian market was very dependent on foreign investors that dominated the market. Is there any sign of them coming back?
Some of them are still active in the market. For example, a deal that was closed in the end of March was done by Citizen M. So it's a new brand, hotel brand that entered in the market, and they bought an office building in Rome. It's true that the deal was started before the COVID, and the deal was closed during the COVID period. So for them, it would be difficult for now. It was difficult weeks ago to analyze new opportunities. So for them, especially coming in the country, now they're starting to relook at the country, but it will be something very slowly. It is complicated to do site visit, especially if you come from abroad. So it will be a little bit more complicated for them for analyzing the market. So that could be a real problem.
What's your outlook on the office market, which did very well in Italy, both in Rome and Milan last year, because of the dual impact of smart working, as you were saying, and then, of course, the economy going downhill?
The office market is, it's true, it was performing very well. And of course, this year it will be very difficult because a lot of companies will adopt a wait-and-see attitude. If they have the opportunity, they will postpone their plans. Especially because they will wait to see how their business is going. And also because they are starting thinking that maybe the offices that they needed is not exactly the same that they had in mind.
We all know that Milan tends to dominate the real estate market in Italy. Do you think that it will continue? Obviously, Milan is the economic powerhouse of Italy, but it's also the place that's been worst affected, the region certainly the worst affected by the epidemic. Do you see Milan retaining its sort of status as the number one destination for foreign investors?
Yes, I think so. Milan will still remain the number one destination for foreign investors. Milan has also a good advantage that they will host the Olympic Games in 2026. So in any case, they will attract investments to create new infrastructures. The Village Olympic will be developed in an area in the south of the city, and so that area will continue to be developed. So they will still attract investments. And also Milan, they are, let's say, getting all the investments that they did in the last 20 years. Now they are arriving. A fifth line of underground is under construction. Of course, there is a delay compared to the timeline. They lost, I think, something between 3 and 4 months, but not so much. So they really have a vision of where they want to go. Rome, the situation is completely different. If you walk around in the city, unfortunately, I cannot do it because I'm not living in Rome, but my friends are in Rome. They are really rediscovering the city center of the city because it's empty of tourists. And 2 years ago, I was in the Spanish Steps in Rome, and I was walking there, and I was looking around, and I realized I was the only Italian there in the steps. And now, if you look at some videos, you see that there are some people in the square, in the steps, in the Spanish Steps. There are very few of them because there are only 30,000 people living in the historical center of Rome, compared to 180 when Rome was incorporated to the Italian kingdom. It's true at that time people were living more closed one to each other, but in any case there are a lot of people that left the historical center, and a lot of apartments were reconverted into Airbnb. So this is a problem that you really feel in Rome, and it's a good question of what is the development of some historical cities in Italy. Like Venice. In Venice, you really can see it, but also Rome. Do we really have to think that the only development that we want to do is on the tourists, and so transforming buildings into hotels, and so the residential apartment into Airbnb, And then in any case, all the retail down on the ground, they will become oriented to tourists and not to, let's say, everybody. That can be local people and foreign people. So it's a good question of development for the cities.
Colliers last month, you put out 3 scenarios for the Italian market. One was a very positive one was a sort of middle ground one was a very negative one. What do you think, which a month later, which of the 3 do you think is more likely?
The good thing is that the country has started to reopening. Things are working quite well. So it's not the optimistic one. It's a little bit in the one in the middle. So the hotels will profit about the summer, but it will not be a good year for them. And I know that my colleagues did some scenarios about how the city will react. And they are expecting that we will go back to the situation of 2019. That was a very good year, just in 2022, 2023. So this is a little bit the scenario that we're working on. So it will be a quite long moment for the hotel industry. So it's good for, let's say, an investor that just bought an hotel, or let's say an asset that has to be refurbished and transformed into an hotel. Because by the end, they will arrive in the market at the good moment when the market will really recover. And it's also quite good for, let's say, one of the problem of the Italian industry is that we don't have a lot of international chain. It's more a family-dominated market. And maybe this could push a lot of family-dominated market to, let's say, enter in international chain, because it can be helpful for them to, let's say, attract tourists, especially because tourists will take a lot of attention about the quality of the hotel where they want to go.
So the crisis could bring consolidation, which is a good prospect. But Simone, thank you very much for talking to Real Asset Media, and thanks for your time.
Thanks, Nicole. Thanks to all of you.